Hello, this is Chelsea Dade, founder of Communicate for Health Justice LLC, and welcome to CFHJ's Soft Launching Justice podcast. Soft Launching Justice is a podcast exploring how young people of promise are shaping the future today by demanding more. Hosted by yours truly, each episode unpacks the systems youth are influencing and challenging today, from digital culture and public policy to workforce and leadership pathways. Through real conversations, this podcast holds space for emerging advocates who are leading boldly while challenging norms, even if we're all still figuring it out together. Subscribe to the podcast on YouTube at CFHJ. Welcome back to Communicate for Health Justice's Soft Launching Justice podcast. This month, we're talking about relationships. More specifically, we're looking at how Gen Z is reimagining friendships and work culture as a form of social justice. For this generation, who you spend your time with and who you work for is a political statement. We're moving away from networking, in quotes, and towards communal care. So in this month's episode, we're breaking down 2 unique ways that Generation Z is reimagining relationships through ethical friendship as activism and why culture fit is being replaced by values alignment. Now, I personally identify as a millennial, and some would say that there is a deep thread of individualism that runs through my generation and through the ones before it. That trend appears to be waning among some members of Generation Z, as individual success is now more connected to things like mutual aid networks. If you're not familiar of what mutual aid is, it's often described as collective grassroots efforts to meet community needs directly. For example, providing food distribution at a local community center. So in a world with a crumbling social safety net, Gen Z is treating friendship as a mutual aid contract. So for them, what I've observed, it's not just about hanging out, it's about holding space for conversations about mental health and systemic burnout and other things like that. According to a Cigna 2024 connectivity report and the Trevor Project's 2025 research on community foundations, Gen Z is moving away from the rugged individualism of previous generations. For 68% of this cohort, the definition of a best friend, in air quotes, has evolved into a primary support person who fulfills roles traditionally held by spouses or government social services, such as financial microloans and crisis intervention. So, in short, it's giving intersectional friendship. It's about being an ally in private, not just posting on Instagram. From my observation, working with members of Generation Z, a friendship breakup, if you will, isn't always about drama. Often, it's a boundary set because a friend's values on things like climate justice or DEI or equity in general no longer align with their community's safety. The second theme that I want to discuss is the process of vetting and the values filter. Whether it's a new best friend or a potential manager, the vibe check has been replaced by the values check. According to Vice's Media's The Youth Census recent edition, friendship is now being treated as a values filter. 62% of young people surveyed stated they could not be friends with someone who holds opposing views on systemic human rights, viewing social justice as a baseline requirement for intimacy rather than a secondary opinion. But how does this vetting and values check tie into finding values-aligned work and workplaces for this generation? When it comes to work, one Harvard Business Review in 2024, a report titled The New Work Order, found that Gen Z is the first generation to prioritize psychological safety over professionalism. The authors noted that Gen Z views workplace relationships through the lens of equity. If a manager's leadership style is rooted in power hoarding or exclusion, Gen Z considers the relationship fundamentally broken. So, from my perspective as a millennial, this isn't about cancel culture, which is something that, I think we maybe coined in our generation. It's more about accountability culture. This new generation is choosing to build ecosystems, social and professional, that reflect the world we actually want to live and work in. So, with all this in mind, I believe that relationships are the smallest, but also the most important unit of social justice. How we treat a coworker or support a friend in crisis is where the pre-work actually happens. Without this foundation, the mission will crumble and you won't actually achieve your social justice goals. So that's all for this month's episode. I hope that you tune in for next month's podcast when we discuss the language of social justice. Make sure you continue to follow CFHJ on YouTube for more updates. Take care, everyone. Thank you for listening to CFHJ's Soft Launching Justice podcast. We hope today's conversation gave you something to think about and something to act on. One thing that we don't discuss enough in social impact or social justice work is relationships. So we wanted to highlight the deep importance of relationships in the pursuit of health justice. So the next time you feel guilty for setting a boundary at work or ending a friendship that feels one-sided, remember, you're participating in a larger movement of intentional living. We want to hear from you. Have you ever ended a professional or personal relationship because of a values mismatch? Share your perspective by emailing me at chelsea@cfhj.org. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to share it, leave a review, or send it to someone who believes in youth voice and health justice. That's how this community grows. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can learn more about joining us at cfhj.org and on social media at cfhj. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep pushing for justice, and keep communicating.